Hi there, my name is Gail Scott and welcome to this video all about channeling. This is video number 3 on what is channeling. In video number 1, I explained a little bit about the energy and the consciousness that is involved in the channeling experience. And then in video number 2, I talked about how to be more successful in starting a channeling practice and learning what channeling really will do for you. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the fear that comes with the understanding of what channeling really is and how the brain is impacting our channeling experience, and a little bit about the future, about what is going to happen on our planet around the experience of channeling and channelers. So most people are not familiar with channeling. So it's common experience that meeting someone who is a channeler or hearing about channeling has a bit of doubt and fear about whether or not this is actually real. And that is completely understandable because we are dealing with a consciousness level of information that is not readily accessible to us in our normal day-to-day lives. So when we experience something that we don't know something about, we tend to have some fear, we hold back, we don't believe it, we need proof. And these are the kinds of questions that I get all the time. How do you know that this is real? And do you believe that? And how do you know it's not bad or negative? And so my answer to that is always, it's a very positive experience for me. And all the messages that I bring through come from love. And people benefit greatly from hearing. They're inspired and they're motivated to live a better life and to feel better and to trust more. But it is natural that when you hear about someone channeling, and especially more than just your normal day-to-day psychic or medium, when you speak about it from the way that I do it galactically, it's a little woo-woo for people to understand. So there's a lot of doubt and a lot of fear around that. But that doubt and fear comes from the energy of not knowing and not understanding and not trusting. It's not coming from an energy of love, the energy of the heart. And so anyone who considers a channeler to be fake or not real is only not understanding what's going on. It's just that they don't have knowledge about it. They don't have experience on it. And you could say that it's a lack of vibrational alignment. And that's kind of a spiritual term. What does that mean? Well, it just means that we're not vibing at the same vibe. And in video number 2, I explained a lot about vibration and how that works in the channeling experience. So if an individual is doubting what they're hearing or seeing or experiencing, if they're doubting that it's real, they can be rest assured that it is real, because every experience that you have is real. It's real for you, and it's real for me. It's real for every individual person. And so some things, they're just not a figment of our imagination, because all reality is real to that individual. So it's just the energy of fear. It doesn't allow you to access what might make something valid at a certain level of consciousness. So if you're doubting something, that's great. That means that you are in the possibility that potentially it could be real. And sometimes that can be scary, because when you don't have any experience of it or you don't understand it, you're reticent, you hold back, you don't go in, wide open. And so that's relevant, and you should, until you are able to connect to something that rings true for you, that makes sense to you. And this is what happens many times when I'm working with people or I'm channeling for someone. Many times they will say to me, that makes total sense to me, or I don't know how you know that, but yes, that is true for me. And so be careful in your disbelief or any mockery that you make about channeling. It's just that you haven't quite gotten to a comprehension level or a consciousness level shift to a different vibration that would then allow you to understand what is happening. And so if you understand that vibration attracts vibration, then you're just kind of not in sync with that person who is channeling. And that's fine. In fact, you can totally stay out of sync. That's not a problem. But if you would like to learn more and feel better, you may want to look at your own vibrational level and see if you can align it more with your heart and with the energy of love rather than fear and doubt. So we've said, yes, there's a time when a channeling experience can be challenging because there isn't an understanding of what's going on. So that's because there's what they're telling me in this channeling message about channeling is that there's a time gap. There's a time gap between the individual who's receiving the channeling message, that would be myself, for example, and someone who is hearing it. And so that person who is hearing it, that might be you, your computer, your brain inside your head, it just hasn't kind of computed it yet, hasn't understood it. It hasn't made sense to you yet. That's very common. And what we discover in channeling is that when an individual like yourself can access your sixth sense, your intuition, then what happens is that you tap into now your own innate ability to channel and also to discern. And so when you're just sitting in your brain and you don't understand something, it's because your vibrational level hasn't kind of tuned in. So I talked in video number 2 about us being antenna and how that energetic ribbon or energetic level is a message. And when we're not aligned, our antenna can't pick it up. So this is really kind of the same thing. So what you want to be doing is you want to be looking at where you're vibrating. What is your antenna tuned to? Is it tuned to fear and doubt and uncertainty? Is it tuned to disbelief? Is it tuned to lack of trust? Or are you open? Are you open to new possibilities, to understanding new things, to shifting from just believing what your brain knows to really connecting into the essence and the energy of love, which is your heart, which will then be able to give you access to your own intuitive channeling nature. Now, there is a technology behind the channeling experience, and that explanation of that technology will be coming later on. I have been informed by my different sources galactically that they will explain the technology around channeling, but that's not something they're going to go into much detail in right now. They're using this term antenna and receipt to just help us understand that this is one way of figuring out what channeling is. So as I mentioned before in the first video, channeling has not been very common over the last 100 or so years. There's only been a few individuals who have had access to this kind of energy, but that's actually going to be changing. And moving forward, more and more individuals will be coming online, in a sense, being able to channel themselves, their own higher selves, but also be able to communicate with others. And so that information will be very helpful for you and for us as a group. And once our vibrational level has increased on the planet, then our ability to access this information is going to become more mainstream. So there will be less fear because it will be more well understood, more well known, more well accepted, and more people will have access to it. So they'll be able to connect into their higher selves, and they'll also be able to, in a sense, somewhat telepathically connect into other energies and learn things that you would not have had access to before at the lower 3D level of consciousness that is that fear place. And so this vibrational upgrade that I mentioned earlier is happening right now, and it's going to continue to happen. And that's going to help you to be able to tap into your own channeling expertise, which you have. Everybody has this. So it is an exciting time for us right now, because as Earth is upgrading her vibration, going from 3D to 5D, we're going to move forward with her. And you're going to notice more awarenesses for yourself, for others, for the planet. It's going to become a lot more apparent. And even though you might not be able to explain it, you will be able to feel it. You'll know it to be true, just like when you tap into your intuition. And just like other channelers who have practiced this art of channeling, they have become competent and willing to accept the information that comes through. And so your doubt will be removed, much like theirs has, and you won't be so hesitant to believe what's happening. You will be more likely to understand it, and it will become more integrated into your life experience, so that the channeling and your intuition will be natural and normal, much as it is now for those of us who are channelers. So if this is a series, or maybe you're just watching number 3 video as your first one, sometimes it can be really difficult for people to understand how this is happening. The channeling experience, what is channeling? So if you're just watching number 3, I would suggest you go back and watch number 1 and 2 to give you more information. But just really understand that as more and more people access this, it's going to be helpful for you, because these vibrational shifts that are happening, these upgradings, are happening with the assistance of the channeling experience, because the more access you have to channeled information, the more that increases and really elevates your experience as a human being, and also your spiritual experience here on planet Earth. So we are moving into a new dimension, and as you upgrade your vibration, your human experience gets better and your spiritual experience becomes more aligned with the higher self part of you. And so that's where we're going. That's where we're going as a species. That's where we're going as a planet. And it is wonderful. It's a wonderful expansion of our consciousness, each individually, for every channeler that there is out there, and for the consciousness of our planet and consciousness of our species as a whole. And so the greater we are able to expand into this growth, the better our ability to have consciousness work for us. And we would be able to communicate more and more with other levels of consciousness that actually know more than us and will be able to assist us, as is happening right now. So for every channeler that you hear about, watch, listen to, myself included, realize that this is a symbiotic experience. It works for the energy that is being channeled. It works for the channeler. It works for you. It works for our group consciousness as a species, and it works for the planet, and it works for the universe. So this is a very integrated experience that we're all having, and more you will have access to more and more intelligence, higher levels of consciousness, higher vibrations. And when you move into that kind of energy, you will have more and more balance, more and more peace, and more love. And that is definitely a good thing. That is where we want to be moving forward with. So I hope that you have enjoyed this, and please make sure that you watch video number 1, video number 2, and thank you for watching this video and listening.